Yo, conceived as one, split into two. Gonna talk so much shit till the air goes blue. After we're through, you're gonna wish you were monozygotic too. Just a couple of Nimpods up to no good. A couple of Nimpods up to no good. See what we're doing there? It's Nimrods. But it's a podcast with Nimpods.
Welcome to Nimpods.
What is this? Nimpods.
What episode are we on?
I think it's 35. I just checked. 35.
Oh, really?
Okay.
You did some research.
Yeah. That extensive research. It's fairly interesting how we decided to do the video podcast because one of the awesome things about podcasting is that you can do it in your PJs and stuff, but now you actually have to worry about, well, not like I put too much effort into it, but you have to, like, as you can see by my scruff, there's...
Are you saying that you worry about what you look like?
Well, no, but it's just like, the whole thing is, face for radio, right? I was just watching some Marin.
We definitely have faces for radio.
I don't know if you've watched the Marin show, like Marin.
Yeah.
It's sort of the fictionalized version of Mark Maron's life. Done very much kind of in the style of like Louis.
Yeah.
Mixed with like, I don't know, Curb Your Enthusiasm. It's a good show, but he was talking. I just watched an episode. I can't remember I think it's season 2 that we're on, and he does little segments of that he's doing his podcast, sort of like a little snippet of him doing his podcast stuff, and he talks about podcasting being. He's talking to a radio guy, and the radio guy's like giving him shit because it's like, oh, it's not live and stuff. And it's like, yeah, but you can make it a better show and stuff. Which got me thinking, because you can actually do sort of a live podcast. Have we tried it?
We've done a live one. It was actually a lot of fun.
But it's like
not that many.
The logistics of it was a pain. Like to get the live streaming going.
Yeah,
I guess it's still quite a niche sort of audience, a niche customer base for something like some kind of app that makes it easy. Even doing this, recording the video, because like I can't see you. We're just recording separate, and then we splice it in later.
Yeah.
Even that. This is kind of like a rigmarole. I've actually.
Are you kidding?
What?
Hidden behind this, casual charm and happiness is pent up absolute frustration.
Yeah, every time prior to shooting one of these things, there's a good hour to a half hour to hour of sort of this frustration just setting it up. I've moved my sort of recording setup into this little hutch here. In my shop. So then when we went to roll, I didn't have any, because the back of my recording booth, I mean, it's just this tiny little area, smaller than like a little closet, so I didn't have really room for a camera. I just managed to actually fit a recording device in here. It's an old camcorder.
Yeah. You messaged me at 9:30. It's 11 o'clock now.
Oh, wow. Okay, so an hour.
No, actually, that's me. That's from me replying to your message. So it's not even.
So yeah, so it's a work in progress.
It's very frustrating.
This sort of setup thing.
But
it starts out with this inspiration, like I have been inspired.
Well, the 9:30, it's like super inspired, right?
Yeah, 9 o'clock is when you're the most inspired. Well, I am at least. Yeah, I've been inspired by watching the Marin, and
watching the Marin. I like that.
The Marin, yeah. I don't know. It's like watching Marin. Like, I mean, I know he's got other stuff, right? So Marin, it just re-inspired me to do podcasting and stuff. Not that it's ever really. I just want to do it more consistently. Actually, our last episode was like 2 months ago, so it goes fast.
It's ridiculous. I don't even know if this audio is going to sound good. I'm actually using a shotgun mic.
Oh, okay.
I'm not even plugged into a computer right now because it's being occupied. But
yeah,
it should sound fine.
So I want to do it more consistently, and yeah, I can't believe it's been 2 months since our last episode. We were talking about sort of wrong people's, getting some hits on YouTube. That's sort of cooled off. Where I think we're at about 70K views, which is still.
I think that
awesome.
podcast was we're at 40,000.
Oh, were we? Okay, and then no,
that on that podcast we were talking about it being 40.
Yeah, I think so.
And now it's 70. So that's not bad.
So what we've been doing is we've been working on a horror movie.
Yes.
A Grindhouse inspired horror movie. And,
we haven't talked about it on the podcast, obviously.
And so I just finished the first draft like about a week ago, and we really like it. We're stoked for this. It's got a lot of set pieces. There's a lot of practical effects going to be in this. It's actually quite ambitious.
Yeah.
That being said, we still don't want to spend 3 years on it. But it's going to be a challenge. But why not? Right?
Oh, for sure.
I
don't think time really makes things. That doesn't necessarily. That's not like. I don't know. This is coming off our last movie, obviously, but like I don't think time really is the quotient of like what's tough.
No,
what makes it tough?
And we were we were on for a while there. I think, well, not I think, but we were. I think frustrated with how long it took our last feature, but we've subsided on that considerably. Things take time, especially
for sure.
Things that you want to be good, to be worth people's time, to not only be a part of the project, but also to watch it. Ultimately, you want some eyeballs on it. So we're not so hard on for the time restraint. It's a more realistic thing that we want to be better at is more just a better organization, and possibly with the idea that to get the movie in the can takes a shorter, more efficient time frame. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
So the first draft's done, and so I'm just started this morning tackling a second draft. I haven't even told you, but I've written the sort of a different opening.
Oh yeah. Nice.
And
I haven't even read it yet.
But now I'm getting some sort of and I'm not really super worried about it at this point because it's still only a second draft, but I'm getting a bit of a time issue, just a timing issue now.
Cool.
But which I think is remedied fairly easy. I'm not really concerned about really getting it super tight right at this point because it's still in the quite green stages, the script, but it's all there, and it's very exciting to see it all sort of there, all beginning, middle, end, and it feels like a movie. It's got some interesting characters. It's got everything sort of makes sense in it's kind of actually quite a lean script. It's the first draft came in at about 75 pages.
But again, we're very much we write you write, especially knowing that we're gonna be making the movie too. So it's you'll have a one line description that's gonna take a couple minutes.
Yeah,
at
times. There's actually not a ton of dialogue in this script too, which it's a lot more like set pieces. Like I was saying, it's got it's more about it's there's a lot more movement in the script, like more action, and not necessarily action as in like explosions and stuff, but there's like time being used with just actions of characters. Oh my god, I can't explain it.
Yeah, you're saying properly. Action, but you're meaning like, you know, like forward momentum, like, you know, in a horror sense, action, like not an action like, oh, there's like just Arnold comes in and shoots a bunch of guys. Like it's not really like, it's not that at all. It's you're saying like in script terms.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, like action direction, I guess, or you know.
Yeah.
No, that sounds cool. Actually, I have to read the new opening, because the old opening was kind of based around a car crash, and it was falling. It wasn't mixing. It was needed. There's a part in it that's needed, but it's not converting like it should. Like it really needs to be more.
There's a.
It didn't have a horror opening. Didn't have a horror opening.
Yeah, like with the first. Especially with your opening scene, you kind of want to set like the tone of the movie. I mean, it's pretty common sense. Yeah. Even if you don't write or even make movies, but like you want to have a sense in the first like minute or two that like what you're getting into. And the opening that we had was a little pedestrian. Like it wasn't. It moved. It was important for our character, but it wasn't necessarily important, or like it was important to the movie and to the character, but not sort of setting the tone as much as it could have. So I've added this at this point. I've just added it to the top of the movie, and there still is this car crash, but there is a sort of a timing issue that I've ran into now. But I've spent 10 minutes thinking about it, so I'm not worried about it. It'll be figured out. And
well, we were talking about how you were saying this is the first draft, but actually there was a very rough version, probably what you would call a prototype script. I wouldn't really even say it's a first draft because it's completely different. There's a couple little couple kind of set pieces and sort of even props and / characters that have actually only one character.
Okay, so there was an earlier prototype script that I wrote back in actually 2010. So talk about time going fast.
When you sent it to me, that first draft, the first prototype draft, I would call it, and it said February. It just says Feb 10 on it, and I'm like, oh yeah, earlier this year, February. Like I literally thought it was that recent. And you're like, no, it's February 2010. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, this movie's 8 years old? Yeah. Like, in a way. Like, then you brought up the fact that we were living in a house that would have suited this script a lot easier. Like, it was based around the location we had.
Yeah, you were living on kind of a neat little farm. And I wrote the script around the farm, and now you don't have the farm.
Now neither of us will live at a farm.
Yeah. 8 years later,
we do have access to farms though. That could work still.
Yeah, I think the farm is a good backdrop for. I think farms are inherently kind of like sort of good horror backdrops. I think it's sort of like
Children of the Corn sort of thing.
Yeah, I don't know. There's something kind of
something to be said about it for sure. I think the original script was a lot more. What would you say? Like, it's more single location.
Well, it was more
definitely this new idea is definitely way more ambitious.
More ambitious, and it's more. It kind of amped up the sort of grindhouse aspect. I know what you mean. Well, basically, I want to make basically a popcorn movie, like a movie you can screen.
Popcorn horror movie.
A popcorn horror movie where, the old script, the 2010 script, was a little bit more based in kind of making not so much. It didn't embrace the grindhouse so much. But then when we kind of looked at the script again this year, a few months back, we kind of both but we just kind of, we thought there's something here, but I think we got to amp it up. And there's aspects of the new script that we've amped up in ways that we're like, wow, we can't believe like the old script didn't do this. Like,
because especially when you percolate an idea that long.
Yeah, so I don't know. There's always been something that I've really liked about this idea. So, obviously sticking with it for 8 years, off and on. Something in it that we both like. So yeah, actually, it was kind of interesting about the old scripts because I was looking through some stuff in my shop. I have like boxes of writing and papers and stuff, and it's amazing because sometimes I guess it's just what happens when you accumulate so much. Again, time passes and so much writing. I'm kind of a stop and start writer. I don't like write consistently, but I'll find like old scripts that I'm reading and I'm like, I have no idea what this is, or outlines and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's when you get to the point where you can't remember writing it, that's very strange. It's a very weird kind of feeling because you always think that you kind of know exactly what you've written and stuff. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but it's just like, I'm reading this stuff and I'm like, what? I don't remember this at all. Like,
well, you were saying how like the whole 8 years thing is like, it's kind of funny because people were like, oh, 8 years. They've been like toiling around this genius script for 8 years. You know what I mean? Like, you know how those people like, I don't know, I guess Christopher Nolan and stuff, they like write movies for, over 10 years, 15 years. And they're like, pitch perfect basically. I wouldn't say you probably haven't touched this in 7 and 11 months. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even in a thought process, like really we sort of got re-inspired by watching the Rebel Without a Crew series.
Yeah.
Really.
Mm-hmm. And most of those movies if that show is basically they're taking Robert Rodriguez's original concept of his El Mariachi that he made for $7,000, his show that he does on the El Rey network. He I don't know how many guys were there, 4 or 5. It was actually mostly women. There was two guys and 3 women, so 5 I think. And it took 5 filmmakers to make a $7,000 movie each, and it was like super inspiring because most of them kind of embrace this sort of grindhouse. Obviously inspired by Rodriguez himself, and obviously they'd have to be some sort of fans to know the show even existed, because I do remember coming out it came out with like the casting call or the sort of auditions or whatever. I think it was only US based though. I think it was just US based, which kind of bummed us out.
Yeah, for sure.
But I do remember I vaguely remember the auditions and forgot about the show, and then it was like, oh, it popped up on somewhere. I think you sent me the link.
It's on Tumblr actually.
Oh, Tumblr. And so
weird.
And it was really inspiring because they all sort of embraced this grindhouse, and that's sort of when we were thinking, well, do we have like our old anything that we could fit into this? Do we have anything that could fit into this? Any ideas? And we didn't. But then I approached this old idea. So that's where it came from. And we've actually gotten into contact with a couple of like the filmmakers. There's, was it Montoya?
Armand, I think his name is. I forget his name actually.
He's got 3 names. And he did a movie called Monday, which looked like, to me, probably the most. It looked technically probably the best movie out of the 5, but they were all looked very interesting. Like I want to see all these movies, so we've been talking to him a little bit about the show.
Alejandro
Montoya, something on Montoya. There's a middle name.
Yeah, and then there's a Josh Stifler guy too. We both been sort of like talking with. on Instagram and stuff, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. So Josh Stifler did Preachers. No, what is it?
The Good Exorcist.
The Good Exorcist, and that one actually kind of felt like our movie the most. Like, but obviously before we thought about this our movie, and I was like, that's the one that kind of really embraced the grindhouse the most. Where I was like, oh, okay, yeah, all right, and then kind of like it sort of all snapped together. But anyway, we still have a long road ahead, and but yeah, just a quick update on what's happening. I think we kind of we have a little vlog that you're working on. I think that we basically say the same thing.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a good little update. I didn't really have much to.
Oh, we did want to talk about what is the chances? Like, what do you think about maybe possibly starting an IndieGoGo?
Did we want to throw that out there on the?
Well, I'm just wondering if anyone thinks that would be a good idea. What kind of perks we could have, or should we just worry about like just doing the movie the way we were going to do with very little money, or what? Like what? I don't want to waste anybody's time. But maybe we can get some kind of response. Maybe our 3 fans can tell us what you think. Because I'm willing to do an IndieGoGo campaign, but I don't want to start one if it's just waste everyone's time.
Yeah, well, that's not really wasting the time. Like, we can make the goal like really low.
Yeah,
and it's like we just put that towards the movie. And people can. I always like the idea of like buying producer credits or something. I know like some people don't like that idea, but I think that's kind of like you kind of get a cool. I mean, I bought a few producer credits. I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah, I do like that. All right, that's a quick little update, and
cool.
That was Nimpods 35, and I'm Dan.
I'm Jamie, and we're Nimpods out. Check us out on YouTube. You're probably watching us on YouTube if you're watching our faces. But if you're listening to iTunes or your favorite podcast system, go to YouTube and look up Francis Brothers Films or look up francisbrothersfilms.com. Thanks for listening and thanks for watching. We out.